The courtroom was silent except for the occasional shuffle of papers and the quiet murmurs between attorneys. Evelyn sat at the plaintiff's table, her hands resting firmly on the polished wood, her gaze unwavering. Across from her, at the defense's table, sat Alan Greaves. The once powerful CEO of Hawthorne and Beck looked different now. His tailored suit couldn't hide the tension in his shoulders, the slight twitch in his jaw, the nervous way he drummed his fingers against the table. The arrogance that had once radiated from him was gone, replaced by something more human: fear. Evelyn had been patient. She had spent years watching, listening, planning. And now, everything had led to this moment. The trial had been making headlines for weeks. News stations followed every twist and turn, employees whispered about it in break rooms, and social media was ablaze with debates over corporate corruption, justice, and power. This wasn't just a case about unethical business practices. It was a reckoning. When Evelyn had ousted Alan Greaves from his position as CEO, it had been a monumental shift in the company's history. But it was only the beginning. As she had expected, the board members, desperate to protect themselves, had begun leaking information to the press. Whistleblowers, previously silenced by fear, came forward. Lawsuits followed. Investigations were launched. Evelyn hadn't just inherited a controlling stake in the company. She had inherited a battlefield. The evidence against Alan was staggering. Financial misconduct, embezzlement, unlawful terminations, and workplace harassment. He had built his empire on a foundation of fear and manipulation, and now that foundation was crumbling beneath him. Evelyn's attorneys had worked tirelessly, building a case so airtight that even Alan's high-powered legal team was struggling to find cracks. But what truly sealed his fate wasn't the spreadsheets or the emails, it was the testimony. One by one, former employees took the stand. The young intern who had once been humiliated by Alan described the fear he had felt that day. A longtime secretary shared how she had been pressured into early retirement after decades of loyal service. A former financial analyst revealed how numbers had been manipulated to deceive shareholders. And then, finally, it was Evelyn's turn. She walked to the stand with the same steady composure she had carried for years. She was no longer invisible. The entire courtroom listened as she spoke about what she had witnessed, what she had endured. She recounted the whispered conversations, the backdoor deals, the careless cruelty. Alan's attorney tried to discredit her. He tried to paint her as an opportunist, someone who had simply lucked into power. But Evelyn met every question with unshakable calm, answering with facts, with receipts, with years of lived experience. By the time she stepped down from the witness stand, the outcome was clear. The jury deliberated for only a few hours before returning with a verdict: guilty. Alan Greaves was convicted on multiple counts of fraud, workplace harassment, and corporate malpractice. The sentence was severe. He wouldn't just lose his fortune, he would lose his freedom. As he was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs, he turned toward Evelyn, his eyes burning with resentment. But there was something else there, too. A reluctant acknowledgement of the woman he had once dismissed as nothing more than a cleaning lady. Evelyn didn't look away. She met his gaze and, for the first time, she saw what he had always refused to see in her: power. The aftermath of the trial was just as turbulent as the case itself. News networks dissected every detail, opinion pieces flooded major publications, and corporate leaders took note of the unprecedented downfall of one of their own. The ripple effect of Alan's conviction extended beyond Hawthorne and Beck. Other companies began re-evaluating their own internal cultures, wary of facing a similar reckoning. But not everyone supported Evelyn. Detractors called her a destroyer rather than a savior. Online forums buzzed with conspiracy theories, labeling her rise to power as opportunistic rather than just. Employees who had once been comfortable under the old regime resisted the changes she brought. Protests were staged outside corporate headquarters, some claiming she was dismantling the legacy of the company. Anonymous threats filled her inbox, and even longtime friends hesitated to stand beside her. Among the loudest critics were those inside Hawthorne and Beck itself. Some of the senior executives who had thrived under Alan's rule resented her authority. They saw her as an outsider who had clawed her way to the top through scandal rather than merit. Whispers of internal sabotage circulated. Memos went missing, deals fell apart, and crucial projects faced sudden roadblocks. Yet Evelyn remained unshaken. She had endured far worse. Her past had been filled with hardship. Long before she stepped into the courtroom, she had known what it meant to struggle. Raised in a small town by a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table, Evelyn had learned early that survival required resilience. She had started at Hawthorne and Beck as a janitor, cleaning floors long after executives had gone home. But she paid attention. She listened. She learned. Over the years, she worked her way up, first to a receptionist, then an assistant, then to middle management. She took night classes, earning her degree while balancing long shifts and endless responsibilities. Every promotion had been a fight, every success met with skepticism. But she had never backed down. And when she discovered the corruption at the heart of the company, she knew she had to act, even if it cost her everything. Now, standing at the helm of the company she had once cleaned, she refused to let the voices of doubt shake her. Instead, she doubled down. She met with employees, addressing their concerns directly. She listened, adapted, and made tough decisions. She reinforced her vision not just with words, but with action. Under Evelyn's leadership, Hawthorne and Beck underwent a transformation. New policies were implemented to protect employees, unethical executives were removed, and a culture of transparency and accountability took root. The company that had once thrived on exploitation became a beacon of ethical business practices. It wasn't easy. Investors pulled back. Competitors sought to capitalize on the instability. Yet Evelyn remained steadfast, determined to prove that justice and profitability were not mutually exclusive. For Evelyn, the journey wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. It was about proving that those who are overlooked, underestimated, and dismissed still hold immense strength. As she walked out of the courthouse that day, stepping into the golden afternoon light, she knew she had done what many had thought impossible. And she had done it not with greed, not with cruelty, but with patience, integrity, and an unshakable belief that the right thing was always worth fighting for. And in the distance, beyond the courthouse steps, the world was already changing.